जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी,
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरधारी,
यशोदानंदन प्रज जन रंजन,
यशोदानंदन रंजना,
यमुना तीरावनचारी,
यमुना तीरावनचारी,
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी,
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे,
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे,
हरे राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे हरे, हरे राम
राम राम
हरे
हरे हरे, जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद,
जय प्रभुपद श्रील प्रभुपद, जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर तस्य श्रीमद् भागवत सभाय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव श्रील गिरिराज कृष्ण श्री राधा रमन जी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, The Passing Away of Bhishmadev, Text 2. Tada te bhrataraha sarve sadaishchaihi swarnabhushitai
Tadaisvarya dharma
gachan rathau vipra vyasadhaumyadayasthatha tada te bhrataraha sarve
Tada te bhratarah sarve
sadasvai swarnabhushitai
sadasvai swarnabhushitai
अन्वगच्छन् रथैर्विप्रा
अन्वगश्चन्द्रथैर्विप्रा
व्यासधौम्यादयस्तथा.
व्यासधौम्यादयस्तदा.
At that time, all his brothers followed him on beautiful chariots drawn by first-class horses, decorated with gold ornaments. With them were Vyasa and rishis like Dhaumya, the learned priest of the Pandavas, and others. Yudhishṭhira Maharaj was inconsolable, including Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna even could not console him. If suppose some situation has happened, if Krishna says, don't worry, everything is fine, then you would feel peaceful. If Krishna gives us solace and we are inconsolable, that means we must be idiot, or we are specifically being used an instrument by Krishna for another purpose. So ultimately, mama vartmanu vartante manusya parcel. Everybody is finally following the ways of Krishna. So here it appeared that Yudhishthira Maharaj could not be consoled, so he is approaching Bhishmadev. But the fact is, Krishna wanted Bhishmadev to speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna wanted. So this is exactly happening. O says amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who followed, seated on the chariot with Arjuna. Thus King Yudhishthira appeared very aristocratic, like Kuvera, surrounded by his companion. So you can see Yudhishthira Maharaj is on a chariot and he is followed, or he is accompanied by Vyasa on one side. The other side is Dhaumya. And at the back, Krishna along with Arjuna. And there must be Bhīṣma in the front. There must be Nakula and Sahadeva. And, it's like a very, very unenviable vision for Yudhishthira Maharaj, because, even such a luxury only Krishna can award to his devotees. So, and then Prabhupada says in the purport, Lord Sri Krishna wanted the Pandavas to be present before Bhishmadev in the most aristocratic manner, so that he might be pleased to see them happy at the time of his death. Kuvera is the richest of all demigods. Herein King Yudhistira appeared like him, for the procession along with Sri Krishna was quite appropriate to the royalty of King Yudhistira. The Prabhupada is saying is that the very normally when you are in a sombre mood, when you are lamenting, when you are grieving, you don't go in a royal procession, right? Whereas here, there is a royal procession. And again, this whole thing has been arranged by Krishna because he didn't want Bhishma to see Pandavas are coming crying. Rather, Bhishmadev has no illusion. He is not subjected to three modes of material nature. He doesn't see the way you see or I see. When I see an ant, I see an ant body. When I see a plant, I see the plant body. And when I see a person, Haribol! There is Bhagavatam class here. So when we see a human being, we see the human body in terms of American, Indian, male, female. Unfortunately, these are all incorrect vision. You see anyone, I can give you guarantee that that person once upon a time was a Vaishnava. Even the greatest atheist you see, once upon a time he was a Vaishnava. Because ultimately we are all amsa of Krishna. We are all servant of Krishna. Because of our misuse of the free will, we are suffering in various bodies. So it is not a harm when you see anyone, you offer obeisances to that person as a Vaishnava. That is the best way to greet a person. Even if you cannot greet him externally, you can greet him like that internally. And you can practice this. It will only do good to you, not bad. So everybody is a Vaishnava. Everybody is servant of Vishnu or Krishna. Because everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. So from plant to aquatics to birds to reptiles to animals to human being, all of them, they are all Vaishnavas. And being Vaishnava means we are divine being, divine servant of Krishna. And so the point that I am trying to make here, that Bhishmadev is in that platform. It is not that he is seeing the Duryodhan's body and Arjuna's body. No. He is seeing someone is servant of Krishna and someone is not serving Krishna. Although constitutionally everybody must serve Krishna. That is the point. So as a devotee, we don't make distinction between ruffian and sober person. We go out and preach Krishna consciousness. Everybody originally was Krishna conscious. And because of misfortune, they are suffering. So we have to now distribute the fortune. There is a book written by disciples of Gaur Govind Maharaj. And that book name is When Good Fortune Arises. So this is the book title, When Good Fortune Arises. This is a biography of Gaur Govind Maharaj. And what this book, why good fortune? Because Gaur Govind Maharaj's journey starts, spiritual journey, in a deeper level, that when he was a teacher, he had his family members, but suddenly he felt the calling within, that he must now give his 100% to Krishna. Again, and he left everything and proceeded towards north. So he left Odisha and reached Haridwar, Rishikesh, and back to Vrindavan, where he met Srila Prabhupada. So when you search out Krishna, you meet a devotee who can give you the right knowledge. And this exactly happened with Gaur Govind Maharaj until he met Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada ordered him to translate his books in Odia and open a beautiful temple in Bhubaneswar, which he did. He left his body in 1996. He went for the spiritual abode. He entered into the Nitya Lila along with Srila Prabhupada, his spiritual master, on 1996, February, on the day of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appearance day. So, my dear, you have to and divide. And because Krishna is all pure. So those who are in the status like Bhishmadev, Bhishmadev is one of the Mahajana. Mahajana means he who knows the science of Krishna. Jai Krishna Tattvaveta, Sai Guru Bhava. If I know the science of Krishna, then I am the most opulent person. Why? Because by knowing science of Krishna, I have the license to capture Krishna within my heart. I can lock Krishna within my heart. So this is what it is. So good fortune arises means any one of us who was the science of Krishna consciousness, we have good fortune. Now fortune knocks in the door of everyone, but rarely people accept the fortune. Rarely people value the fortune. Okay, and that is the biggest misfortune, to not value the fortune. We are all given the fortune in terms of Krishna consciousness, but we don't value it. And because we don't value it, we don't accept it properly. Rather, we accept broken glass. We accept that which can ultimately become noose around my neck. So this is what is my precarious situation. So when Bhishmadev would see Pandavas beautifully decorated and Krishna is with them, that would be his greatest happiness. And Krishna wanted to give Bhishmadev his greatest happiness because Bhishmadev really loved Pandavas. Who would not love Pandavas? Because they are dear devotees of Krishna. Krishna came to Hastinapur, lived with them, dined with them, joked with them, again and again. Yudhishṭhira Maharaj would implore him, please stay some more days. So days would become weeks, weeks would become months. That is how Krishna spent time with Yudhishṭhira and his brothers. How fortunate are they? Who would not love them? Who would not serve them? Because they have Krishna prema. They have kept Krishna locked within their palace. We will see how Dwarakavasis are feeling suffocated without Krishna because Krishna has been there since the battlefield and until now. So dear friends, Bhagavatam is not a history of material warfare or material events. Bhagavatam is all pure. It only talks about the spiritual event. So the fact the procession of Yudhishṭhira Maharaj has been described as is traveling towards the place where Bhishmadev is lying on the bed of arrow. This particular description is not mundane, because in Bhagavatam, every verse is imbued with Krishna consciousness. Every verse has full potency of Krishna and can purify us and take us back to Godhead. So, seeing him lying on the ground like a demigod fallen from the sky, the Pandava king Yudhistira, along with his younger brothers and Lord Krishna, bowed down before him. So when they reached the battlefield, they saw the precarious situation of Bhishmadev lying on the bed of arrows. Thousands of arrows has pierced his leg, his thighs, his waist, his stomach, his chest, his neck, his hand, his arms, his shoulder. Every portion of his body has been pierced by the arrows. And these arrows have come from Arjuna. It's an amazing situation. Only Bhishmadev can lie down like that and still be Krishna conscious. That is why he is Mahajana. He is not Mahajana for nothing. He is Mahajana for being such a stalwart that in spite of thousands of arrows piercing his body, his consciousness is completely peaceful, Krishna conscious. He is not disturbed by his bodily pain. He is internally situated. And he has situated Krishna within his heart. While he was meditating on Krishna within his heart, Krishna personally became present just near his head. So he is watching Krishna. He was meditating Krishna within, and now Krishna outside. He was very happy. He must be the most elated person in the entire universe. You are meditating on Krishna, and Krishna is personally present with you. And the purport Srila Prabhupada is saying, Lord Krishna was also a younger cousin of Maharaj Yudhishṭhira, as well as intimate friend of Arjuna. But all the family members of Pandavas knew Lord Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord, although conscious of his supreme position, always behaved in a humanly custom. So he also bowed down before the dying Bhishmadev as if he were one of the younger brothers of King Yudhistira. So when Yudhistira and his brothers, they reached Mahabharata battlefield and saw Bhishma lying in the bed of arrows, Yudhistira and his brothers, they offered their obeisances, full obeisances to Bhishmadev. And you can very well imagine what would have happened. They must have gone near Bhishmadev. They must have held onto the head of Bhishmadev. They must have kept that head very carefully on their lap. And they must have sobbed like a small child incessantly there. They must have made Bhishmadev completely wet by their tears of love. But what's happening? Prabhupada is saying, while the Pandava brothers are offering obeisances to Bhishmadev, so also Krishna. Krishna is all worshipable. All our obeisances, all our offering, all our yajnas, all our tapasya, everything is meant for Krishna's satisfaction. But same very Krishna is also acting as a human and offering obeisances to Bhishmadev like Arjuna because he's performing human-like Leela. So he's following the custom in the human society. So as the friend of Arjuna, as one of the family members of Pandavas, Krishna offered his obeisances to Bhishmadev. Just to see the chief of descendants of King Bharata, all of the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis amongst the demigods, brahmanas and kings, all situated in the quality of goodness were assembled there. And the purport Srila Prabhupada is saying, the rishis are those who have attained perfection by spiritual achievements. Such spiritual achievements can be earned by all, whether one is a king or a mendicant. Bhishmadev himself was also one of the Brahmarshis and the chief of descendants of King Bharata. All rishis are situated in the quality of goodness. All of them assembled there on hearing the news of the great warrior's impending death. Dear devotees, just see what a beautiful ambience. Bhishmadev is lying on the bed of arrows, surrounded by 5 Pandava brothers. And there stood Lord Krishna, the synergier of all eyes, showering his cooling glance very mercifully upon his dear devotee, Bhishmadev, one of the 12 Mahajanas. As Pandavas are spending time with Bhishmadev for the last time, all the great sages all over the world, we will see their name one by one tomorrow in the class. So tomorrow will be a fantastic class because we will be hearing great personalities, what they are and who all of them, they came and joined the departure of Bhishmadev. So a great person doesn't die. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim asrita. Those who are always eternally in Daivi Prakriti, in the internal potency of Krishna, they don't die. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes about it. Whoever thinks a Vaishnava dies, he must be number one stupid and idiot. Vaishnava never dies. In fact, by leaving his body or ending his Leela, he starts another Leela in this service to Krishna. His Bani, his instructions remain forever, just like Bhishmadev's prayer. We will read those prayers. And these prayers are there since he glorified Krishna 5,000 years ago approximately. Those prayers we are still reciting, and we will be reciting very soon those prayers of Bhishmadev for Krishna. So a Vaishnava is eternal. Vaishnava cannot be annihilated. Vaishnava cannot be killed, destroyed. In fact, any attempt to annihilate a Vaishnava will meet with 100% sure shot failure. Nobody ever can destroy a Vaishnava. So all the great sages and personalities all over the universe, they realized something great occasion has come. Bhishmadev is going to give up his body, and all our rishis, they know that death is as illusory as birth. So they wanted to see that how Bhishmadev would leave the body. And ultimately, we all are going to give up the body. How we give up the body? How does a devotee give up his body? That is one of the central teaching of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, that our way of life such that we learn the art of giving up the body. That means we do not get cowed down by losing the body. Rather, we become blissful by meditating on that. I'm going to meet Lord Krishna in Vrindavan or in Braj Vrindavan. So this is how a great soul departs his body. So Bhishmadev is going to give up his body. How is going to give up the body? In fact, the very fact that Krishna is personally present, that must be even another greater attraction for the sages to come there. Because for the soldiers in the battle of Mahabharata, they saw Krishna, but they didn't see Krishna within their heart. They saw Krishna mostly as enemies. But here, Bhishmadev is seeing Krishna as the absolute truth. And we are going to read it. So, dear devotees, please meditate. When you meditate on this world, don't meditate any aspect of the world as yours. Number one, do not meditate on the world or any opulence of Krishna within this world as yours. That is the first thing we should do. We should. That is why our tradition tells us that whatever we have earned at some point of our life, 50 or 55, we must give 50% directly to Krishna's service, 25% to relative, and 25% we can keep for our future need. And this is how devotees conduct themselves. And there were those who never earned anything, for them even it is better, because they can simply wander on the earth planet on their feet by chanting the glories of Krishna. Krishna, 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 Hai. Krishna, 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 Hai.
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Hai.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava
Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama.
Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakhyama.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava.
Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava Pahi Mam.
Krishna
Krishna
Keshava,
Keshava,
Krishna
Krishna
Keshava,
Keshava,
Krishna
Krishna
Keshava
Keshava, Pahima.
Pahimam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
This is how Mahaprabhu walked on the earth planet by his feet, by chanting Krishna's name. We all have to do one day. If we don't do it, we'll become very big failure. We don't want to be seen again in the body of ant, reptiles, birds, animals, trees, aquatics, or even the body of a human averse to the lotus feet of Krishna. We need to uh, 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 make sure that our attachment or dependence on Krishna is 100% before we leave this body. So let's not be a failure. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna, for attending this Bhagavatam class. Anybody has any question, please ask. You can unmute yourself and speak. Chandan Sharma, we are in the forgetfulness of Lord Krishna as God, and Yashoda Mata was also in forgetfulness of God, treated him as if her child, only right. Then what is the difference between these two situations? No, Yashoda Mai never forgot Krishna. Even in the dream he was meditating Krishna. What are you saying, Chandan Sharma? You must be very crazy. Yashoda Mai could not live without Krishna. When Krishna left for Mathura, Yashoda Mai stopped cooking and always was thinking about Krishna and crying and crying and crying and crying. He was only crying for Krishna. His attraction for Krishna is unimaginable. We cannot comprehend. It is inconceivable. So don't bring Yashoda Mai in your platform. So Yashoda Mai never forgets Krishna. Rather, without Krishna, she cannot live. Without Krishna, she cannot live. And as far as your query is that she doesn't understand Krishna as God, that is also wrong. She fully understands Krishna as the absolute truth. Otherwise, how she could see Krishna as the in his universal form? But she doesn't like to see Krishna as God. she likes to see Krishna as her son. That is the only difference. But Yasodamai is 100% Krishna conscious, more than 100%. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Amrut Panda. This fellow was not there in the chanting session and suddenly has appeared. Material world has been described as pavarga. It means everybody has to labor to get anything. Prahlad Maharaj has said material happiness and distress were allotted to us when we get the body and it cannot be changed. How to reconcile these two statements? What is the, I don't understand. What is the contradiction here? There is no contradiction. Pavarga means mostly material life is like that. Pavarga. Pa is parishrama. Fa is fena. Pa pa ba. Ba is basita. Ba ba. Ba is bhaya. And then pa pa ba ba ma. Ma is mrityu. So whether you go through some happy situation or the material nature makes you work very hard. Why you work hard? Because you want to establish your false ego as the actor. Like people, those who feel they are not successful in their life, whatever they did didn't work out. So they lead a life full of misery because they feel they have achieved nothing in this world. To show to the world that I'm a he-man or I'm a she-woman, we work very hard. And that is by the material nature. Material nature is such. If you give importance to your false ego, you will always work hard. And nowadays what has happened, because people, they don't have control over the senses, and hence they cannot work hard. Whereas they know that unless they work hard, they cannot be successful. And that causes tension and anxiety in them. And ultimately they enter into depression. Okay? So people, by overindulging in their senses, they lose the ability to do hard work. And because they cannot perform hard work, they know that the so-called success is going to delude them. So as a result, they enter into depression. So this is what happens. That is why I say, everyone, please give your life to Krishna, work hard for Krishna. That is the real success of life.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Why Mata Sati was dissatisfied even after such opulent lady, which is Mata Sati. Acha, Lord Shiva's...
sir.
Are you talking about Lord Shiva?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because she could not tolerate the offense towards her husband. Her father, Daksha, very badly spoke about Lord Shiva. if a woman is able to tolerate, uh, uh, is able to tolerate the insult to her husband, that means she is not a chaste lady. Just like no devotee should be able to tolerate anything spoken against Krishna and his pure devotees. So it is like that. Okay, so I think
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Sridevi Mata, please.
Firstly, the description of the that scene of Bhishmadev and the way they were crying, it made me very emotional, because we human beings also tend to do. It was 6 months back when I lost my brother-in-law. All of us were crying in the same manner. But again, somewhere in the class, you had told us that the body it is only the physical body which is there, but the soul is always goes to the Godhead. But then now when you describe that these people, they were all in the association of Krishna directly, but then also they cried when Vishnu Pitamaha was going away. I'm a bit confused. I'm very emotional also right now.
Yeah, because you see, there is a bonding between soul to soul. Soul is going to miss. And just like in bodily platform, we have this idea of missing one another.
Okay.
Right? So like my daughter, Yamuna has a friend, Rumi, and her father retired from IIT Kanpur. So they are leaving tomorrow. And she was there with, she is always there with her. Now she is feeling she would miss her. So that is platform, a material platform that I'm going to miss her.
Okay.
Whereas the Pandavas and Bhishma, their relationship is soul to soul.
Okay.
So being soul to soul, you have pure connection, and that pure connection also there is a sentiment involved. But those sentiments are not bodily sentiment, pure sentiment. Okay. So from the perspective of Pandavas, they are going to miss Bhishmadev. So they are going to miss the divine association of Bhishmadev. And you see, just like we say, human is a social animal. If a human being doesn't have good social connection, he or she may enter into depression. Similarly, Atma naturally is divinely social. So Atma doesn't want to stay alone. It wants to render service in association with other devotees. So the biggest suffering of a devotee is losing the association of devotees. For a devotee, the most so when a Vaishnava is about to leave this mundane world, in one way, it's the happiest moment because the devotee is going back to the lotus feet of Krishna. But from our own perspective, from our own devotional association, we are going to miss someone very dear to us, who was always thinking about Krishna, who was teaching us about Krishna, who was speaking about Krishna. Now when Pandavas, they met Bhishmadev many times, when they intimately talked to him, what they were discussing. They were not discussing how the rice item is or how the sweet rice is. They were discussing all about Krishna. They are discussing about the tattva of absolute truth and how that same absolute truth is now wandering and or is moving or mingling with all of us like a human being. So that's what they are discussing. So for a devotee, missing the association of another devotee is very painful situation. So obviously, in fact, when the spiritual master departs, the disciples, for the disciples, that is the greatest calamity. That is the greatest calamity. When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur departed, the greatest calamity fell upon all the Gaudiya devotees. When Srila Prabhupada departed, all the great calamity fallen upon all his disciples were so young, hardly 10 years in devotional service. So like that. So we miss the devotees, their association, and that is very natural. And if you go to the spiritual world, you won't find people sitting there alone. Everybody is together and they help each other to serve Krishna. Okay.
Then yes, yesterday, I'm sorry, yesterday also you started saying, if I am given a chance to, if I had the power to take away my life the day I choose, I just want to go away now, go away now. Don't you think you were trying to hurt us in the process?
No, that is our
And we are
internal
going to
mode.
miss
That
you.
is our internal mode. Our King Kulasekara is praying. He's my favorite prayer. Krishna Todiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adaiva Vishatu Me Manasa Radhahamsam Prana Prana Samaye Kapavatta Pitau Kantavarodhana Vidhau Smaranam Kutaste. So Kulasekara is saying, now I am remembering you, Krishna. I am releasing the nectar emanating from your lotus feet and like Rajahamsa that releases the root of a lotus root. Similarly, I am releasing the nectar emanating from your lotus feet. And now I am all right. I am able to think. I am healthy. My mind is working properly. So please take me now. Please don't keep me towards my old age when my body will be filled with kapha, vata, pitta, and my mental balance I would lose. I have seen many pure devotees, very great devotees. When they become very old, they lose their mental balance, even as a pure devotees. I have seen they are great devotees. They gave all their life to Krishna, but at the end, even they lose mental balance. So what to speak of us? We are very ordinary. So that is a mood. Mood is that because in old days anything can happen. Anything can happen. So that is an internal mood. Internal mood. But that is the truth. Everybody must realize today or tomorrow we are going to leave. And that very idea keeps us detached from this material world.
Hare Krishna, sir. Hare Krishna, sir. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Panchakalpatarvesha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanang pavanabhyo vaishnavibhyo namo Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol.